Hello, every pony, and welcome back to Fandom Fridays, where we proceed to check out all the fanfics that are not pony related. Why? Because it's more Star Trek time. I mean, you saw the video title, you know what's up, you know what I'm gonna play. Do I even need to do the introduction? So let's hit it. Where No Jedi Has Gone Before by Arcade Striker JK5. Chapter 4, Pirates Ahoy. Enjoy. Picard walked down to transport room 4, a look of eagerness barely on his face. He had finished all of his work for today and was off duty. Now he could go down to the temples dotting the landscape of Yavin 4. Grand Admiral Paleon walked beside him. Are you sure you will join me on Yavin? Picard asked. Paleon shook his head. Thank you, but no. I've never been one to crawl around in ancient structures. I prefer getting my hands dirty in my garden, among living things. The con system sounded out, and the android's voice came through. Captain. Picard talked to his combat. Yes, Constable. Yes. Sir, this might seem very odd, but I've had this terrible, awful feeling sweep through over me a few moments ago. Picard and Paleon stopped in their tracks. A feeling? Picard asked, what are you laying? Before she could answer, Leia ran out to Picard. Captain! Captain! She said, I've just had a premonition concerning my daughter. She's in terrible danger. Picard looked over at Paleon. A precognitive ability is the norm here. Paleon shrugged. My advice is to trust bad feelings, John Luke. They usually turn out to be true. Picard walked to the nearest turbolift door. Paleon and Leia trailing behind him. Bitch! The captain said upon entering. He turned his head to Leia on his left. Is there anything more you can tell me? She closed her eyes and stretched out with the Force, seeking out the innumerable paths of the future. She isn't alone. Zek is with her, as he always will be. She shuddered. And then I see blackness. Horrible. Yosemite! Picard turned to Paleon. The Admiral's mustache twitched. That creature can repel the Force, for lack of a better word. The doors opened, allowing the three to enter the bridge. Deanna stood near the command section, hands folded in front of her and a worried look on her face. She looked at Picard, who spoke. Counselor, have you had any more visits or something of that nature? She shook her head, sending her long black hair soaring about. No, sir. It just came to me on the bridge. The door to the observation lounge suddenly opened, allowing Spock and Telecod to enter. Captain, my friends are in danger, Telecod said. Picard held his palms out. Well, one premonition of doom is enough to give me pause. Three within such storm worries me. Looked over to tactical station, thus assigned to see Tiersek, relieving the beta shift officer. Commander, please conduct a scan of the system. I want to know if there are any... Tiersek interrupted him. We have 2 hyperspace revisions on the edge of the system, sir. The first registers a half-bin passenger freighter, the Rock Dragon. The second is a freighter of unknown origin. Telecom looked over the view screen with her cool gray eyes. Jaina, Zach, she mumbled. Picard over her and noted the names. Commander Tiersek, contact Will and Data on how to beam aboard immediately. The Andorian nodded and began to work. She immediately said, Sir, we have weapons fire for the unknown. She's attacking the Rock Dragon. Picard and Deanna both sat in their chairs. Red alert! All hands to battle stations! The Rock Dragon shuddered as repeated lasers slanted their shields. Both Jaina and Sek rocked in their seats. By the way, Jaina's here! Yes! Sek's gloved hands were gripped on the control stick as he fought to keep the cruiser control under some semblance. This is fun. Jaina laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha! Well, I said our last mission was boring. I didn't know it'd end up like this. Their ship rocked again, tossing both Jedi trainees out. The console in front of Jaina sparked in smoke. Insert, this is a true crossover with Star Trek joke here. It's fun. Do your own. Causing both of their eyes to water and squeeze partially shut. Suddenly, Sek's danger sense flashed. Jaina, look out! He shouted, grabbing her shoulder, pulling her out of the seat, mere seconds before the console exploded, engulfing Sek's arm in a red sword's fireball. His green eyes crossed, and he let out a strangled cry escaped his lips. The young man fell to the floor and batted his arm, desperate to put out the smoldering fabric. Jaina knelt down, and unzipped her jacket and wrapped it around his arm, smothering the embers. Thanks, Sek said through gritted teeth. A sudden grinding noise startled the both of them. It continued for a few seconds before a large crash reverberated throughout the ship. Both freaked out with their senses and scanned the dragon. I can't feel anyone on board, Jaina said. She got to her feet and gingerly helped Zack up. They took a few steps out into the corridor and came face to face with some rather unsavory types. 3 humans, a Twi'lek, and a Rhodarian stood with their blaster rifles at the ready. Before she could speak or even formulate a word, Jaina's brown eyes fell upon a backpack that each one of them wore. A small, fur-covered lizard was hooked up to a frame and sat on a pipe. Suddenly, she felt a bit lightheaded. She glanced at Zack, and with a start, she couldn't feel him. His pale countenance also took a look of panic on it. A taller human pushed his way through the few high humanoids in front. I picked him up to Mikir after escaping Corellia, he spat out. Gia's mouth went dry and her breathing quickened. But, the older man shrugged. Well, it's nice to see that someone from my family remembers me. He turned to Zack. Oh, God, no! Don't tell me it's Kylo Ren! This fanfic came out in the mid-2000s! Kylo Ren! You don't even exist anymore! You're not even supposed to be here! Go! Although, Jaina kicking Kylo Ren's ass would probably be the highlight of my day. You have any idea who I am, my boy? He asked with a sneer. Zack shrugged and put on a mask of bravado. No clue. Thraken Sal Solo, black sheep cousin to the Han Solo, and Janus, his great uncle, rubbed his scraggly beard. Before he could speak, Jaina snapped her out of her reverie. He's that cousin. A lying, backstabbing piece of trash that should... She was cut off when Sal Solo stepped forward and slapped her across the mouth. Respect your elders, you little brat! He screamed. Ah! So Kylo Ren got all of his assholeness and whininess from him! I can totally see the resemblance. Gina's head snapped back, and a small trickle of blood wound its way across her red cheek. Zack grabbed at the old man, but one of the humans hit him in the stomach with the butt of his blaster rifle, sending him down a plate planting. Sal Solo growled. You kids shall help me get revenge on that no-good piece of trash, Han Solo. As Jaina knelt down to help Zack, Sal Solo walked over to the... I know you can hear me, Han. I have your daughter and your boyfriend. I'll trade him for you. He cut the transmission and walked to the cockpit. Tie him up, he ordered. Jaina let out a cry as he was pulled from Zack. Let's go! She screamed. Zack gritted his teeth as his arms were bound behind his back. Don't worry, Jaina. We'll... He cried out as the pain of the Rhodarian hit him in the abdomen with his own blaster rifle. Shut up, Lem! He chattered. Picard watched as Leia, Deanna, Riker, Tearsek, Data, Pelion, Luke, Tennoka, Chewie, Worf, Han, Anakin, and Jason walked in and sat down at a conference table. Both John and Jason beamed up to the Enterprise a few moments ago and were looking quite antsy. I am waiting for the Sensi to show up so I can see how many of these names I can list off. Han's mouth was a grim line, and his eyes were darting back and forth while Jason mumbled to himself. I can't feel her. She's not there. Data glanced over at Jason. Jason, what do you mean by that? Young man shrugged. We're twins, Data. We've got this mental leak that let us know what the other one's doing. Picard clasped his hands together. That will be helpful in any way, because you sent her a message. Jason shook his head. No, Captain. Just like I said, I can't sense anything from her. Luke cast his gaze down the table and thought. They must have a Yasamori over there. His blue eyes lifted lightly. I feel their death. Picard nodded and turned his head slightly to look over to Leia. Do you know who sent the transmission? Leia nodded. Her brown eyes narrowed. It's Thraken Salsoda. He's the black nerve of the family. She quickly explained what happened in the Corellia system 9 years ago, and his role in trying to install a xenophobic government in the entire sector. Tiersek's right brow arched. Is this Cerepoint station still alive? Anakin reflexively opened and closed his right hand. If only I wanted to, Lieutenant Commander. Luke cleared his throat. So, how do we get my niece and her fiancé back? Pelion shrugged. I think it's rather obvious. Use that transportation device to beam Jaina and Sec off, and then cripple the freighter. Diaz shook his head in response. I'm afraid that normal standard transporters cannot penetrate energy shields, Admirals. Beyond blue eyes widened a bit as he caught one. Standard transporters are the non-standard ones. The android's yellow eyes flicked back and forth. There are subspace transporters and voltage space transporters, but they each take approximately half an hour to set up. Hans abruptly slammed his hands on the table.
Forget there, okay? He wants me for Jaina's sec, so I give him me.
He began to stand up, but Riker stood out of his seat and motioned for him to sit back down. Han,
we'll get him back, but not if you're half cocked. That's what Thraken wants you to do.
Kirsek stopped for a moment. Wait a moment. If we send Han over, they'll have to lower their shields, right?
Carter snapped his fingers. Data. Can we type beam 2 people over onto the rock dragon just as soon as they lower their shields?
Well, Captain, if O'Brien wasn't too busy snogging his wife on board DS9, I'd say yes. But unfortunately, Miles O'Brien decided that he would rather be on DS9 rather than here, on his nice little home on this ship. So yes, now you got me. Diaz's face broke into a goofy grin. Of course, sir. While we send Han over, we send 2 people onto the rock dragon and have them retake the ship.
Chewie slammed his paw on the table.
I'll
be the one to go over, he growled. Thraken will rule the day he crawled out from the rock he was under.
Worf nodded vigorously.
And I wish to go over as well. The cell souls are dishonorable and should be killed.
Picard sighed. He knew there was no way to dissuade either one of them.
Report to Transwall Room 2.
He tapped his compost.
Helm, set course for the Rock Dragon. Warp 7.
Worf turned to Chewie as the 2 rose from their seats and be trapped on his ambassadorial robe.
I shall be down shortly. I need my armor and bat'leth.
Chewie snarled.
My reek blades call for Thraken's blood. I'll be there.
The Enterprise pivoted on its axis and moved out of orbit. The blue warp field mirrors flashed as the space-time continuum around the Sovereign-class ship was distorted, sending his ship hurtling across the system. 10 minutes later, the warp field collapsed and Enterprise slowed to sublight speeds. I am right now very glad that my little brother is not that much of a geek that he would try to correct me on what type of class ship the new Enterprise is. Although he's looking at me and thinking, I can so totally research that in so much 5 seconds. 2 vessels joined by a docking tube floated slightly above the saucer section into the starboard. One was a modified CEC Bottleless class freighter. It resembled a wide arrowhead, with a cockpit in front and sensor discs mounted right above. Quad laser cannons were mounted at the bottom of its ships and on a turret on the dorsal surface. It was connected to the Rock Dragon by a 2-meter-long tube. Han entered the Enterprise's main shuttle bay and walked up to the Alderaan, his wife's personal Freya. He boarded in midships and entered the cockpit at the front. He sealed the ship and activated the repulsor lifts, sending the ship up. The aft thrusters fired, launching the ship out of the hangar and away from the Enterprise. Han took a moment to admire the clean lines of the Sovereign-class battleship before turning back to the control console and a small light blinking on and off. He pressed a button right below it, activating the holocom unit. A small disc glowed blue. Thraken's head materialized above it.
About time, Han,
he snarled. The former smuggler clenched and unclenched his fists.
What do you want me to do, Thraken?
Thraken's head bobbed.
Duck on the starboard side. We'll let your daughter or boyfriend board your ship. But after you're on my ship.
Han's brown eyes bored into the holographic image of his cousin.
If you hurt either one of them,
he threatened.
Thraken laughed. There's not a damn thing you can do about it.
His head lit down.
Lowering the shields. I don't want that. There is the fire. Or else.
The Alderaan pivoted on its axis and lined up with the freighter's docking port. The starboard maneuvering thrusters fired briefly, sending the Alderaan on its way. On the Enterprise, Tier-Sec noted the lack of shields. Shields are down, Captain!
Picard nodded and spoke. Transport Room 2. A Wolf and Chewbacca ready.
Both Wookiee and Klingon stood on the transporter pad. Chewie had a Rick blade in his left hand, and his bowcaster slung over his shoulder. His baldric held ammunition and a small explosive. Worf was in full Klingon armor, and had his bat'leth at the ready. He also had a knife in his trusted holster.
We all ready, Captain.
He boomed. He looked over at the transporter technician.
Energize!
Both were enveloped in a sparkly color of energy as their molecules were disassembled, beamed across space, and reassembled in the cockpit of the Rock Dragon. Worf's vision quickly adapted to the low level of lighting. He and Chewie quickly left it, walked down a corridor until they reached the ship's air dock.
I will signal this when he's in position,
Chewie growled out, barely audible. Worf nodded, and the two warriors sat in and waited. The Alderaan's port thrusters fired, slowing the ship down, enabling it to extending a docking tube. The collar at the end hooked into the freighter's airlock and sealed, allowing a breathable atmosphere to form. Han took a few breaths to steady himself before leaving the cockpit and walking down to the airlock. He pressed the button on the control panel and turned the wheel-bound main hatch, opening it up. He walked across the tube to the freighter and waited a few seconds. The hatch on the other side opened up, and two pairs of hands grabbed Han, hauling him over to the center of the fairly large cargo tray. Dragon stood in the middle with Jaina and Sek. Han's blood boiled when he saw a red imprint on Jaina's face. He also noticed Zek had trouble standing upright. He clenched his fists together.
You son of a hut,
he growled.
Dragon smiled. Oh, they're not permanently damaged. At least not yet.
The elder soul's face hardened.
Now then, cousin, you ready?
Han flashed his trademark roguish half smile.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
On the other side of the cargo bay, at the port airlock, Worf and Chewie readied themselves. Chewie put the explosive on the hatch and stepped back. His paw held his revolver report mode.
Fire in the hole!
He shouted, pressing a button. Worf tensed as the same charge detonated, blowing a large hole in the door, spraying the debris out like shrapnel. Dragon's mercenaries stuck in dust as the spear superheated metal flew. The other soul's face turned purple with rage.
You damn fool! You!
Han took a few steps forward, leaned back, and sent a right hook stealing into his brother's chin. His face was stone as Dragon crumbled to the deck.
You don't hurt my family,
Han spat out, towering over his cousin.
You are the second worst disgrace in the Han Solo name ever.
Here's the first. Oh, you people see this show coming.
Kylo Ren!
This is like your what? 15th riff of Kylo Ren you made in this fic? And they never get old. The five associates of the Thraken scrambled to the hole in the airlock. A cloud of dust hovered in the air, and the previous explosion had flash blinded them. When the fearsome cleared, they saw a Wookiee and a Klingon standing there. Which, to me, is probably the second scariest sight I'll ever see in my life. An angry Wookiee and an angry Klingon. Number one is an angry Wookiee and an angry Klingon controlled by Borg with a Dalek at the front telling me that angels are right behind me. So I have a choice of death. Both had blood lust in their eyes, and the songs are gory in their height.
Now we fight together, honor brother.
The Wookiee snarled. Worf hoisted his battle in the air. Oh. I knew I should have practiced my Klingon before reading this. He shouted. The mercenaries opened fire, but their poorly aimed shots missed and gave Chewie and Worf ample time to close the distance. Worf swung his bat'leth and impaled the roll down in his gut, ripping through flesh and dropping into the ground. Two of the humans jumped down, but he bowed the first aside and sparked a swing for the second, breaking his forearm with a simple twist and bend. Chewie, meanwhile, gutted the Twi'lek and had the human by the throat. He lifted him in the air with one paw and roared right in his face.
You hurt my family.
I repeat, I am not messing with the Wookiee. He dropped the human to the deck and brought his paw down to the top of his head. Hard. The mercenary's eyes rolled back to his head and he fell to the deck. Han, meanwhile, waited for Thraken to get back up. The elder slowly rose, only to be kicked in the gut. Blood through Thraken's mouth as Han taunted him.
Not so tough, are you? You don't have your goons, and you're not bigger than I am.
Sal Solo dove at Han's legs, but Han simply kicked him in the mouth. He stalked Thraken as he crawled away, clutching his midsection. Please, don't, he said, pain lacing through the words. Han reached down, grabbed him by the collar, and hauled him to his feet.
You deserve to die. But you know what? I'm not gonna kill you.
He looked over at Jaina, who had a bit of fear in her brown eyes. She'd never seen her dad act like this, and it scared her a bit. The two souls locked identical brown eyes for a moment, before Han turned back to the Thraken. Maybe if Han looked at Kylo Ren with more of those eyes, Kylo might not be such as a whiner. Okay, one more joke about Kylo Ren, and we swear I'm going to bring out a Kylo Ren jar. You're going to have to add money to it. Okay, I promise. If that happens, I'll start putting money into the Kylo Ren rift jar.
I'll turn you over to the courts and let them have you. And then you better pray you get sent to Tatooine Stockade for life plus affinity. Because if you get out, I'll be watching you. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, my shadow will be hovering over you like Lord Nayax on Spice. And if you slip up just a little bit...
Han held his left hand to Thraken's face with the index finger, thumb close together. I'll be fair to face what I started here. Got it? Thraken mumbled. Got it. Han let go of his collar and dropped it to the deck. Good. Cultus Law, Supplemental. Chief of State Solo has expressed her profound gratitude for all help in rescuing Dana Solo and her fiancé. I feel this has cemented ties between the New Republic and the Federation. There will be a formal reception held at 10-4 later today. Jason sat on the roof of the Great Temple, looked out into the jungle of Yavin 4. His feet kicked the air as he sighed and thought about Tenno Ka. Right now he was on the Enterprise at the reception, probably with Worf and drinking that prune juice. A sudden noise from behind startled him. He scrambled to his feet as a silvery column of energy appeared on the roof. It cleared, revealing a vision of pure beauty. Tenno Ka stepped forward. She wore a maroon dress and her reddish hair flowing down her back like a wildfire. She walked up to Jason, looked down slightly at him. Friend Jason, what are you doing here? Jason's brown eyes blinked twice. Huh? Tenno Ka let outside. I need an escort for the reception. Will you do that for me? Jason's mouth dropped open in shock. Me? But what about Worf? Tenno's gray eyes drilled into him. What about Worf? She asked. Her voice sounded quite frosty. The younger Jedi sighed. Well, you two seemed close. I mean, he's a warrior. You're a warrior. You're both politically powerful. Tenno Ka raised an eyebrow. If we are good friends, that is all. I love you. Jason let out a squeak. You do? The Habit Princess leaned in and kissed him on the cheek. I do, and that is a fact. She tapped a compass on her dress and spoke. Discreet! Transport room. Please transport Jason and I to the reception. A male voice came over the speaker.
Another.
Hey! Miles of Brighton is not on the Enterprise! I know. But it'll probably be 2 chapters it'll probably be 2 stories from now before we can get to DS9. So I need to do all my DS9 lines before we have a chance. She nodded and smiled, energized. As she and Jason dissolved, she turned to him. Jason, what do you think about me receiving a prosthetic? I tend forward. Delusa cradled a glass of ale and looked around. Captain Picard had allowed certain Jedi up to the reception, but Delusa couldn't figure out why she was one of them. She sensed a familiar person approaching him from behind and turned to him. Hi, Daya, she said. The android's right eyebrow set up. That is quite remarkable, Lusa. If I may ask, does your ability have a range limit? She turned her equine body around to face him. Well, sort of. It depends on how well you know the person and how strong you are in the voice. She shifted her weight from one foreleg to the other. Ah, Daya, why did Picard fire me up here? Daya let a chuckle escape. Actually, I asked him to. I remember you asking about Starfleet while I painted your picture. Lusa snorted. Daya, you'll remember everything. Last night special. He took a step forward. Have you given any consideration to what you will do after your training as a Jedi is complete? The Saurian looked about. I'll just assume I go from planet to planet, helping out those in need. Daya's yellow eyes locked with her brown eyes. I would ask you to consider joining Starfleet, Lusa. Melissa's mouth dropped as he fumbled a bit with her glass, nearly dropping it. Molly? Starfleet? Dan nodded. Your skills and knowledge would be valuable. It would enable you to help people across the quadrant. The Jedi trainee stammered for a bit. But Starfleet's military! I'm not sure if I could serve in your Navy. Dan waved her off. Although Starfleet is the primary defensive arm of the Federation, our primary mandate is the exploration of the galaxy. We only fight as a last resort. He smiled. It is a code, not unlike that of the Jedi. Melissa thought about Dan's offer. Truth be told, she wasn't sure what she would do after the academy. There could be worse career choices than Starfleet. Yeah, I mean, you could always join the Dominion. She sits there, stance a bit, and said, I'll consider it, Melissa Delia. DeAndre smiled. That is all I ask. Off in a corner, Deanna stood over a table occupied by Anakin and his Venturi. They both had a tall, frosty glass of root beer, topped by a scoop of ice cream. And this is what we call a root beer float, she said. Go on, try it. Tyree took an experimental sip, then took a longer sip. As he put it down on the table, licked his mouth. That's great, Miss Troy. I'm really, really glad Anakin introduced me to this drink. It's from Earth, right? It's pretty neat, too. How humans for your universe or whatever your homeworld is. Here, we've got no idea. Strange, isn't it? I mean... Deanna pushed Tyree's glass forward a bit. Do you want more root beer, hon? Tyree nodded and grabbed the mug, taking another drink. Deanna let a sigh escape her lips, but sensed a familiar presence approaching. She turned and saw Leia walking with purpose. Counselor, may I see you for a moment? Leia asked. Deanna sensed a bit of urgency from the woman, but nothing too serious. Of course. The two women had exited the bar and entered a side corridor. Leia turned and faced the half Betazoid, half human counselor. Counselor, I'd like your permission to run a small experiment with you. I'd like to probe an area of your brain. Deanna frowned, but sensed no malice or ill will from Leia. She nodded and threw out some of her mental defenses, letting her in. Leia probed deep into Deanna's mind, touching upon the primal area, the reptile portion of Deanna's brain, and although she was ready for it, preparation didn't make the telekinetic stuff any less painful. Deanna's eyes went wide as she saw Leia fly back down the corridor. Leia, my God, what was that? She ran over and helped the Chief of State over to her feet. That, my dear counselor, is proof of what I suspected, Leia said, smiling. You're force sensitive, my dear. Okay, so I've got no problems with Deanna, and I tried my best not to make Deanna's useless jokes. So, for this portion of the gag about Deanna being force sensitive and being Jedi capable, I'll turn the gag over to my little brother.
Oh, dear God, no.
Thank you. I needed that. Deanna's mouth dropped in shock. What? Leia snickered. The little shaft is a reflexive action that all force-sensitive beings do when that portion of their mind is probed. Amanda grew serious. Deanna, you have a gift. A precious gift. Deanna sighed and tapped a spot on her neck just below her right ear. I'll have to think about this, she said. Leia nodded. I understand. She turned but paused. Deanna, are your powers inherent of all Betazoids? The counselor thought about that. Oh my. She let out a breath. I'm only half Betazoid. Sudden thought flashed in her mind. Are there any species in your galaxy that are all force sensitive? Leia's brow furrowed as he thought. There are a few, like Fonskias and... Deanna interrupted her. I meant sentient species. Leia's mouth opened slightly, as she nodded in understanding. There are a few. Deanna shuddered as the implication sank in. Could it be? Are all Betazoids really force sensitive? Leia picked up on her thoughts and sent her a message through the Force. I don't know, Deanna. Normally, only a few members of a species can touch the Force. Deanna cleared her throat and spoke. I'd like to talk to Captain Picard about this. Leia half smiled. He's waiting for you in his ready room. I told him about the test, just in case you turned out to be force sensitive. Deanna motioned down the hall. Would you accompany me up there? Leia nodded, and the two walked off. 5 minutes later, Deanna and Leia stood in Captain Picard's ready room. Leia quickly explained what being force-sensitive meant. She also talked about the dark side and the consequences of turning to it. Picard shuddered as Leia walked to sift in dark fear.
Would you recommend little Deanna stay at Luke's Academy and learn the way of the Jedi? He asked.
Leia glanced at Deanna with her brown eyes. I do, but the decision ultimately is up to Deanna here. She motioned to the counselor while talking. Deanna paced about the room for a moment, thinking. Captain, I believe I am due for some leave time, she finally said. Picard half smiled.
I'll see to the counselor, he went outside. Although I will admit, the Enterprise will miss you while you're training.
Deanna smiled and actually blushed a bit. Why, thank you. Her smile turned down somewhat, and I shall miss you, Captain. Back at the party, Tennoka and Jason mingled a bit before the happen princess grabbed Jason's hand. I have something to show you, she said, leading him out 10 forward. They went up a turbo lift and entered. Deck 7, Tennoka said. Grained eyes landed on Jason and took in his rumpled hair, goofy grin and dark brown eyes. Eyes you could get lost in for hours. So, what's on deck 7? Jason's sudden question startled Tennoka. What is on deck 7? The doors opened, allowing them to leave. Tennoka walked forward, her shoes clanking on deck plating. Jason struggled to keep up as she approached the door. Tennoka raised her good arm and pressed a series of buttons on a control panel next to the door. Computer, please load holodeck program Tennoka when the program beat, before a quasi-feminine voice sounded out. Program complete. Enter when ready. Tennoka stepped up to the door and it slid open. She glanced at Jason and quirked an eyebrow at him. Coming? Jason's head whipped over. Oh, sorry. He sent to her side. So, this is a holodeck, he remarked. Brown eyes went-eyed as he took in the scenery. He took a few steps forward onto sand. The young man bent down and picked up a handful of silicate, letting it run through his fingers. This is incredible, he whispered, a soft voice of awe. His brown eyes looked up at the sunset on the horizon, and he let a whistle out. Now this is holographic technology. Make a Star Wars Episode 2 reference. Trixie dares you! Trixie Triple Dogs dares you! Tennoka stepped forward and turned to him. It is nice. Yeah, but it's so coarse and rough. It gets everywhere. Jason's breath left him as he saw her. Flame red hair silhouetted by the sun. She was a visit of beauty to him. He walked up to her, brushed her cheek with his hand, and stammered, You're the most beautiful person I've ever seen. With that, he kissed her lightly on the lips. Jason would be the first to admit it wasn't the best kiss ever, but that would hopefully improve with time. Tennoka blushed slightly as he broke off. That was most enjoyable, as he finally said. Jason flashed an approximation of his father's famous smile. Thanks. Tennoka then blessed Jason with a smile before initiating the kiss this time. The next week passed very quickly for Deanna. She wrapped up her last counseling appointments, completed paperwork for her leave of absence, sent some of her personal effects back to Bayazet, and chose what she wanted to take with her down to Yavin 4. On her next to the last day on the Enterprise, the door chimed in. Ding! Come in, Will. The door slid open, revealing a slightly surprised Riker.
Is that going to become commonplace?
He asked, a smile on his face. Deanna sighed and walked over to him. Oh, Will, I could only sense if it was you or not. Riker suddenly took her hand.
I know, Imazadi.
He hesitated, dropped her hand, and walked over to the window. Deanna could sense nervousness, fear, and a bit of giddiness for him. She walked over. Will, what is it? He turned back, and she saw pain in his blue eyes.
Deanna, I don't want to lose you again. I think back to when we first separated, and what a fool I was.
His hand went for his pants pocket and pulled out a small box.
I know you'll probably laugh in my face, but I have to ask.
Riker went down to one knee and opened the box. Deanna gasped as she saw the ring. Oh, Will. Riker plowed on.
Triana Troy, will you do the honor of becoming my wife?
Deanna's mouth dropped and shut. Will, I don't know what to say. She took the ring and held it up to the light. This must have cost you a bit.
Riker shrugged. It was 2 months' pay.
He got to his feet and took Deanna's hand in his. Imazadi, I love you.
And I don't want to lose you again.
Deanna felt her breath catch in her throat. She didn't know what to say, but some small voice in the back of her head spoke up. Say yes! That would be most of the Will and Deanna shippers in the audience. Yes, Will, I will marry you. Riker took the ring from the box and slid it onto Deanna's slender winged finger. Deanna, you've made me the happiest man in Starfleet. No, the Milky Way, he said. Deanna smiled. Somehow, I knew you'd say that. Riker stroked her long black hair while she leaned in and kissed him. Okay, now that the romantic moment's over, I have to point this out, because I would not be a Star Trek fan if I didn't say this one statement. Everybody, what was the problem with Riker saying it was 2 months' pay to buy that ring? Starfleet has long since removed the concept of using money as a system of barter. So, why would Riker say it took him 2 months' pay when Starfleet doesn't issue paychecks? Unless, of course, he made his way to Ferengi off screen and he was forced to use some sort of bartering material to talk to those cheap-ass losers. Hey, we Ferengi aren't losers. Wait a minute. Captain's log. Stall date. 53075.2. The Enterprise has been recalled to Federation space. We leave behind Consular choice and may begin learning about the Force. I wish her the best of luck in this. However, we shall be bringing back with us a young woman known as Lusa. Lieutenant Commander Data is sponsoring her application to Starfleet Academy. And there's a little matter of a challenge from Han Solo to Commander Riker. Han looked from his cards to the man across the table. Riker leaned back with an air of nonchalance about him, as if he didn't have a care in the world. Han was pretty much the same way. His mind reeled as he struggled to remember the various rules and regulations of this. The most complicated game Han Solo had ever played. For this wasn't playing poker, sabacc, or another simple game. This was Fizbin. Both men were intent forward. Picard, Luke, Leia, Mara, Data, 3PO, Worf, Tenoch, Jason, Anakin, with a smug root beer, Data, Riker, Deanna stood around the table. Phew! Watching the action. Cameras relayed the action to screens aboard the Enterprise, and one set up to the grand audience chamber at the Jedi Academy. Both men started with 7 cards. Han drew a card of one of the 4 discard piles, but it wasn't one he wanted. He went to put it back, but Data cleared his throat. I am sorry, Han, but you cannot discard that one. Han scowled while Riker picked up a card. It was a king. He discarded, but Data cleared his throat again. Commander, I must remind you that you must now discard another card. Riker's blue eyes flickered from android to his cards. He picked out a card and discarded it. Han drew it too. After a few seconds, Data cleared his throat again. Han, since it is night, you must discard that too. Han's brown eyes went up to Data.
Data, we're in space. It's always night.
Data's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Both men looked at each other, rolled their eyes, and back down to their cards. After a few more rounds of play, the main stack of cards was exhausted. Seemed like the end of play. Data spoke again. Now please, lay your cards on the table, and I shall see who won. The android's yellow eyes flickered back and forth, taking in the combination of cards. Han has a pair of 7s, or half a Fizbin. The former smuggler rubbed his temple and groaned. That was the worst hand to get. Data then looked over at the beaming Riker. Commander got up to a pile of chips and one DL-44 blaster pistol, but Data stopped him. I'm sorry, Commander, but you have 3 jacks, or a skronk. He motioned to Han. Han Solo wins. Leia patted her husband on the shoulder. Nice job, Han. The scruffy-looking man shrugged, rose from his seat, and extended his hand to Riker.
Nice game, Will. I don't understand a damn thing that happened, but it was fun.
Riker flashed an interesting approximation of Han's smile and grabbed Han's hand, bumping it twice.
It sure was, Han.
While Han and Riker isolated their game, Hook and Spock stood off to the side.
It was an honor meeting you, Master Jedi,
Spock said, raising his hand in a traditional Vulcan salute. Luke half bowed and returned to salute. I would just like to say we right now have Luke Skywalker doing the Vulcan salute to Commander Spock. This is what fanfics were made for! The honor was mine, Ambassador. May your report to the Federation Council go well. He suddenly looked askance at Spock, almost as if he was looking right through him. Spock, Ambassador, may I perform an experiment on you? Spock's right eyebrow lit up in curiosity. An experiment? Fascinating. Luke smiled and reached out with the Force, probing Spock's mind, reaching down into the primal areas of the Vulcan mind. I think you people need to know where this is going! Leia and Mara's danger sense flared. Both looked up and shouted, Luke, don't! But it was too late. The Jedi Master went flying across 10 forward. Both sister and wife latched onto him, breaking him just before he slammed into the wall. Yeah. How did I know that Vulcans would be dangerous Jedis? I was like, that's so scary. Luke was telekinetically lowered onto his two shaky legs. He smoothed out his shirt and took several dozen calming breaths before speaking. Ambassador, that speech might have to wait. Tim chuckled. I knew it. There was always something about Spock. I just didn't know what. Ben shook his head and smiled. I would have liked to have met Spock in life. The former captain nodded. He was remarkable. On to the side, Q rolled his eyes. Are you done yet? Tim turned his head to him. And what else are we supposed to be doing, Q? We're both dead. The Trickster sighed. And so what? He wandered over. Ben, have you looked up Siri or Anakin since you arrived? Ben's eyes narrowed. Actually, Siri and I are on a double date we're going on with Padme and Anakin. Q smirked. Well, that's good. He looked over at Jim. And does Captain Courageous have any plans? Before he could answer, a voice from behind Q did the unthinkable. It startled him. There you are. All three men looked over and saw a woman marching over. She wore a white sleeveless shirt, dark green miniskirt, elbow-length gloves, and dark green knee-high boots. No, it can't be. No way. RK, you can't really expect me. You're going to put in. She held a metallic staff, topped by a blood-red spear, and carried herself with great seriousness. Q let a sigh escape his lips. Setsuna, what are you doing here? Excuse me. I am going to go into the dining room of the studio, and I am going to try my best not to squeal like a little fangirl at this meeting. Oh, yes! What can I say? I tried. I really did. I tried to hold back on that, but he suddenly held his hands up and right. Oh, I didn't do anything. The Enterprise! Mayu Setsuna turned her scarlet eyes on him side. I'm not here for you. This time. She walked past him and took Jim by the arm. So, where do you wish to go for our second date? Oh, Jim, you player! Jim turned to a shocked Q. Well, gentlemen, it's time to go. He and Setsuna, a.k.a. Sailor Pluto, walked off into the mist. Q growled. He's been dead for 5 years, and he still gets the girls. That's the power of being Captain Kirk. Ben shrugged. Then, he's not the only one. He patted Q on the shoulder before walking off as well. Q sighed and looked about. Oh well, I wonder what Cisco's been up to. And with that, he snapped his fingers and vanished in a flash of light. Epilogue. Year 2381. Compass log. Stall date 508023.3. The Enterprise has arrived at stall base 74 for crew rotation to the mine refit. My first officer, Commander Data, is looking forward to the former as he is reunited with a friend of his. Data turned to the transport chief. Energize, he commanded. The technician slid his hand along the 3 panels, activating the transporter. 5 cones of silvery energy appeared on the raised platform, coalescing to 2 humans, a Vulcan, a Bolian, and Ensign Lusa. Musa wore the undershirt and jacket of a standard uniform. The undershirt was colored blue, whilst he had a single golden pip on her collar. The standard communication pin adorned the left side of her jacket, while a lightsaber hung from her belt. A small bag completed the look of a new officer on her first deep space assignment. She trotted down off the platform and stood next to the other officer transfers. You know, I do hope that the Enterprise has been equipped to handle centaurs. Data handed out small pads to each new crewmate. Welcome to the Enterprise. Your room assignments and other relevant information are all on the pad you now hold. Please report to your department heads at the beginning of your shift at 0800 hours. The five turned to leave, Lucy the last, but Data called out to her. Ensign, will you walk with me a bit? Lucy turned her head and froze for a second. Yeah, yes, sir. She froze as Data stepped to her side. The pair began walking down the corridor, Lucy's head clumping onto the deck, playing. I followed your academy career, Lusa. I must say, 5th out of a class of 318 is quite an accomplishment. You certainly beat out a certain boy who used to be on this ship. Yeah. Cause you tell me what was up with that Wesley kid? I mean, he annoyed me so fierce that I kind of bugged him halfway across the room. That is a very, very, very long story. Well, at least it wasn't a Kylo Ren joke. Yes, it was. Trixie means Kylo Ren is such an easy twerp to make fun of. Jar? Trixie hates you. I love my life. Mrs. shrugged. Well, it's not like I went to one of the main training facilities, sir. I only attended the Bayazet Annex. Dear Wager Harf. It's still impressive. He paused. I have done a new series of paintings in retro femto from Betaset. Melissa's mouth broke into a grin as she and Commander exited the transport room. I studied some of his work at the academy. He's quite popular with the young ladies, but some of the older people feel. Grand Admiral Celia Pelion looked at his reflection and adjusted his color. Behind him, his secretary read off his agenda for the day. Well, after Sarah's funeral, we'll do local time. You have an appointment with your new tailor at 1,000 hours. Pelion nodded and smirked. With Sarah's untimely heart attack, the new trade treaties with the Cardassian Union were sort of go through now. I can think of a lot of people to try to hold up trade treaties with, and Cardassians are not one of them. Wouldn't it be a lot better to trade with, I don't know, Daleks? The door chime sounded, causing the secretary to look at her pad again. Oh, and it's 1,000 hours now. The double doors opened, allowed Pelion's new teller to walk in. My dear Admiral, he said, holding his arms out. The tailor carried a small briefcase and pulled a rack of several uniforms hanging from it. It's such a look with a man who has such impeccable taste. Pelion couldn't help but smile at the man's genuine joy. Why, thank you, Mr. The elderly man trailed off as he realized his new tailor's name. The tailor caught on to that and smiled, causing the rinses around his eyes to crinkle a bit. Oh, what terrible manners I have, he said to his scaly hand. My name is Garak. Plain, simple Garak. Cecilia. The hangar bay rocked again. Almost tossing Lieutenant Zangle fell from the ladder, ceasing to assist the crewcraft. He steadied himself before continuing to climb to the cockpit. The young man let out an uncharacteristic scowl across his face as he thought back to the past 2 months. The invaders showed up at the edge of the Empire at the hand and waltzed right through, burning down the defenses set up by Grand Admiral Thrawn as if they were ice on Tatooine. Then, the Horde marched on the Sith Embassy himself, destroyed the expeditionary force, and occupying almost the entire region. Now, they were on the doorsteps of Scylla itself. Nothing could stop them. The hangar shook again, this time causing Jagged's hoof to slip off the rug. He caught himself just before trailing off. The comm system suddenly sounded out. Attention! Attention! The enemy has broken through our shield and landed on the soldiers on the surface. I repeat! The announcement was cut off by a burst of static. Hitting Calaxions and emergency lights suddenly activated, bathing the cavern in red and filling the air with alarms. Jack's green eyes started to the hangar doors. The metal groaned inward before being punctured in half a dozen places. Other ships offered ready their weapons and began pouring fire into the holes. It was all for naught. For every soldier shot, 5 more took their place. Soon enough, blasters stopped working altogether. Jack had tried to get back climbing to the ladder again, but a hand grabbed his flight suit and yanked him off the ladder. He fell to the floor and struck the door crack with a thud. He looked up and gasped. Shankura? He whispered, eyes going wide and mouth agape. Standing over him was his old friend, Shankura Gerudo. But it wasn't her. Her blue skin was paler now, and in place of her duty uniform, black armor covered her body. Oh shoot. Tears ran across her chest and jetted from what little exposed skin there was. Oh no. Oh no 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 no! Shankura's right arm was, from the elbow down, a prosthetic. No! No 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 no! It was involved with her eyes. She once had beautiful, glowing scarlet eyes. Now the left one was lifeless, blood red, while the other was covered by some sort of scanner. Great! That enough the Daleks! Now we got something that's just a wee bit higher, just a wee bit lower on the scary scale, but still scary. She held up her right arm as several tubules shot out the prosthetic. Before Jack could do anything, the tubules penetrated his skin just below his right ear. Then I streamed into his bloodstream, changing him, altering him, and ripping away his individuality. Before he succumbed, Jagged heard a voice. No, trillions of voices, all speaking at once.
We are the Borg. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
I'm sorry, audience, but apparently my little brother just said a very, very silly thing. Could you kindly repeat that, sir?
Borg are way scarier than Daleks.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat that?
Giant metal trash cans.
I'm sorry, little brother. Could you please repeat that?
Borgs are scarier than Daleks.
BAM! Could you repeat that?
Borgs are scarier than Daleks.
BAM!
Okay, think of that. Borgs assimilate you to a point where and now I'm a screen scenario. Daleks, they just kill you. Which is worse?
But I can.
Get out of my misery than be assimilated into something I don't want to be in.
I would rather try to face something I know I can kill easily versus the guys with the very powerful shields. Interlude. Before the next story arc. Here to be what? Imperial Log, 44 AED. The ISS Warcry had been assigned to begin a mapping mission of the Federation territory near the Dimensional Gateway recently opened up. It should be a relatively easy mission for my crew. I expect no difficulties. Commodore Chisel turned off his log recorder and glanced up at the main viewpoint from his command chair. Unfamiliar stars were spread out across the heavens, each one almost inviting him to visit.
Steady as he goes,
he said to the crew beneath his chair. We'll be ready to enter hyperspace soon. A sudden blip on one of the sensor screens caught the crewman's attention. He looked up and spoke. Sir, there's an odd energy reading from the port dorsal. There's one moment, then gone the next. Cecil glanced down, his frown fervently. We had Yagamara do a complete diagnostic on these systems. They can't be out of alignment. He got up and walked over to a ladder. What about... The war cry suddenly heaved the port, tossing several unaware crew members about. Cecil's gloved hands grabbed the ladder as he shouted, Shields up! Red alert! Gunnery crews! Get firing solutions in! He was interrupted by a tactical officer. Sir, there's no ships anywhere in the vicinity, cloaked or otherwise. Her eyes suddenly went to the main viewpoint as the stars started drifting down to the right. Cecil saw it too. Increase systems to maximum! He finally slid down to the crew pit and stumbled over to the sensor station. What's going on? What's pulling us? The sensor officer adjusted the beams, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Finally, three-dimensional Star Destroyer appeared. Let's see. Going for a wide-angle beam. The scares behind the outer hull, visible energy beams shot out and were reflected back. Within a few minutes, a slow-moving morass formed around the model of the war cry. As the Star Destroyer rotated, the morass thinned out until it disappeared. I don't believe it, he muttered. Jazza looked across the screen. Well, what is it? He motioned to the image. What's got you so worked up? The officer swallowed. We've been caught in the wake of something two-dimensional. Silence descended upon the crew pit. How is that possible? Someone finally asked. Cecil straightened up and tugged on his uniform jacket. It is. It must be dealt with. Gunnery crews, fire at the mast! Shoot to kill! The massive turbo lasers lying in the command tower slivered, and barrels depressed just enough for their targets to come into view. He used bolts of plasma energy plowed at the tip before being to scores, flying into two-dimensional mass of plastic right through. The tactical officer swallowed and turned back to Chisel. "Orders, sir!" Chisel looked around the crew and he awaited his orders. Finally, he sighed. "Involving myself to successes, anyone?" Imperial Log 44 AED. After utilizing the sensors to create your echo space, we have escaped the grip of that two-dimensional mass. I'm puzzled by how such a thing could exist in this dimension, and of other such mysteries await. Chisel turned on the recorder, looked up at the younger woman with a captain's rank.
"So, Captain Ogg, you think that was the last time you've seen such things?"
Arch shook her head. "I don't know, sir. Something like that would explain why Starfleet ships have such powerful sensors." She looked back up at the main viewport and gasped. "What the hell?" Jessica followed her gaze and gasped. Outside, a rolling cloud of energy approached the destroyer.
"Garricus, target that and fire!"
The turbo lasers once more lanced out, but once they passed through whatever it was that threatened a war cry, the cloud shrank a bit and approached the ventral armor plane before passing right through. In the engine room, the cloud approached several crew members, but none of them had time to do anything but scream as every red blood vessel in their body was removed, sucked right out. A squad of stormtroopers found their bodies 10 minutes later. Good lord, what's that smell?
"My filters can't block it!"
Tissel gripped the armrest of his command center as the bridge shook.
"Maintain fire! We can't hurt these things! Keep firing!"
The war cry's turbo lasers bit into the snowflake-like bodies of the interstellar marauders, showering the outer branches before digging into the core. In all his years of service, Jessel had never seen anything like them. Several widest heresy beams lanced down from the entity, striking the war cry's shields, draining power. It was too little too late, however. The main cores finally blew apart in a blizzard of crystal, flying in all directions. Captain Art White straight from her brow. "Stand down. Red alert. Sensor crews, you're to be commended for your quick actions."
"No, you can't. Weapons are not allowed on Organa."
Jessel growled and pulled out his blaster pistol. Instantly, the Blastech DL5 glowed white hot, scorching the palm of his hand even through the glove. His entire stormtrooper squad also dropped their weapons. "What the hell?" The Organian council members suddenly began glowing, their bodies contracting in spears of energy. "Here are words, Commander Cecil. Violence will not be permitted." Its voice echoed through the spears faded. Cecil tossed down his sword, looked at a twinkling ball of light.
"We won't fight for your pleasure and feast. Do you hear me?"
Arthur and company of soldiers followed suit. All of them began laughing and pointing. Ball light soon contracted and turned a sickly shade, passing through the bulkheads and escaping to deep space. Arthur bent down and picked up his sword as it turned back to a blaster rifle.
"Okay, how many more of these damn things are we going to encounter?"
he asked sarcastically. "This is getting ridiculous." Jessel and Art walked into the bridge, only to find some unfamiliar human spread out in his chair. He wore a Starfleet duty uniform and had captain's pips.
"Who the hell are you?"
he asked, anger creeping in the voice. The human looked up and sighed. "Oh, we must do something about your tailor. But, oh well." He snapped his fingers, and his Starfleet uniform was replaced by an Imperial uniform with captain's bars. So dreary and drab. Got to his feet and patted Chester on the shoulders. "The name's Q, my lad." Art shuddered and backed away. "Oh, Criff, not you!" She turned to run, but a bright flash of light enveloped her. She reappeared in Chester's chair, a glass of warmer reserves and a cigar in her hands. Q smiled. Now, I haven't done anything, my dear." His smile turned into a sneer. "At least, not yet." Bastion, Grand Admiral Paleon, looked over at the Moff Council. "Now, Commodore Cecil just returned from a 6-month mapping expedition in the other reality. All information on the Federation is spotty at best, even with the star charts he provided." He chuckled and shook his head. "Sometimes you need to get hands-on experience in these things. Now He was interrupted when a rather disheveled Commodore Cecil burst into the room. Diapad clutched his chest.
"Before you say one damn word, Jan!"
"Let me tell you that these last 6 months were hell. I don't know half the stuff we encountered, but let me tell you this. I've been to the beginning of time, saw the end, somehow became my own great-grandfather, and was turned into a border collie for 2 hours!" He slammed the Diapad on the conference table. "Now, if you excuse me, I am going to get very, very, very drunk!" See, this is just what happens when you try to explore strange new worlds and discover brand new life forms without a license. Talia's jaw dropped as Cecil stormed off. I slowly went to the Datapad. It's on the map of the Milky Way galaxy. Across the area known as Federation territory, 4 large words were scrawled. Here, there be dragons. Oh, I thought there were whales here. Oh, boo, 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 boo! You had to bring in one last Star Trek reference, didn't you? Yes, I did. For this first part, awesome. It's Star Trek and Star Wars. Everybody's in character. The story flowed at a good pace. Everybody had fun. Nothing really to complain about. And after sitting through the hell that was last week, I think I needed something good that made me happy. Although, personally, if you ask me, they should really have been more careful when exploring Federation's space. Oh, and if you guys caught all the references to the other TOS episodes that previous story just mentioned, get a life. Just get a life. Stop listening to me right now and go home. The outside misses you. That was one down. Thousands more to go. I'll see you next time.